Hello, everybody. Good morning. This is the third, I think, in our series of modern Jewish thinkers. I just want to say, I think Angela Buchtel was a bigger draw than Rabbi Steinsaltz. Just saying. Because it was like double or triple, even triple the number of people between those in the room for sure. There's 2 people in the room. Thank you. There were like 15 people in the room last time, and I don't even remember how many people on Zoom, 2 or 3 times the amount. So even though I think it's really important to also talk about Torah scholars like Rabbi Steinsaltz, the people have spoken, so I'm keeping that in mind for next summer, that maybe people want to hear more about more modern ones who are going against the grain a little bit, although I think you'll hear that Rabbi Steinsaltz also went against the grain. Okay. I'm going to spotlight myself. You can do whatever you want.
Can't see it. It's not.
But I'm spotlighted to make it a little easier when I show. So this is a picture. Sorry, who's talking?
It's too small.
Right, yeah, it's too
small for us to see it. It's too small.
Now.
And now we get the picture and not the words.
Of him.
No,
right.
I'm not showing you the words.
Oh, you're showing us.
I'm only showing you the
Okay.
picture.
We see the picture.
No, I can't show you the words. I'm reading the words.
Oh,
This is actually, one second, you know what? For those who wish to, I am going to drop in the link. So if you wish to, you can look. That's really up to you. I don't think it's necessary. It's not that kind of, source that we go along and we learn so much. It's not like that. I'm doing it a little bit differently from a regular straight shiur. Just a minute, share. Chat. Where's the chat? Wake up. Okay. For those who wish, I put it in the chat. You can print it, you can look at it as wish. Okay. But I am going to read from my 10 pages of notes, closer type than from this short source sheet, which is really not a source sheet as much as it's, summary, little tidbits, things about him. But I'm going to be saying all of them here as far as I know. Okay. How does the son of 2 committed Marxists, did I pronounce that correctly?
Yes.
Become, excellent. I've never said that word before out loud. Become the man Israel's own president, Rabbi Rivlin, would later call a modern-day Rashi. Now, everybody here know who Rashi is? Probably the most famous commentary on the Torah. He's also on the Gemara and other. Yeah. So Rashi is famous for being concise, for being so prolific, amazingly prolific, because he wrote about almost everything that was written before his time, or at least the important ones he did. And he was concise, and he also was able to see very often, almost always, the pshat, meaning the plain meaning of the text. Sometimes he brings a midrash because the plain meaning of the text is not the easiest way to understand it. So he wants to make sure that we understand it. But here's the thing that I love about Rashi. Imagine that you didn't have Google or even a book to pick up to look at the whole Torah or the whole Gemara or the whole Mishnah. So he had some manuscripts. He also wrote manuscripts. But it's as if he saw the whole Torah unrolled in front of him. He was always able to check and see. He remembered it, an amazing, amazing memory. But the breadth of what Rashi gave us was amazing. So I think that Rabbi Rivlin, by saying modern day Rashi, was saying a lot. Okay. He was born in 1937 in Yerushalayim. So he is was a Yerushalmi. He's not alive today.
Can you give us the spelling, the name? I don't have the name of whom we're talking about today.
Oh, it's not in the email? Okay, no problem. Steinsaltz. Steinsaltz. His first name, Adin. Adin.
In Israel, is it pronounced Steinsaltz or Steinsaltz?
Yeah.
With an S. Steinsaltz.
Steinsaltz, yeah. He was born in 1937, the same age as my mother. So interesting to read that. I always thought of him as older. But then when I saw he was born 937, I'm like, wow, same age as my mother, except he's not alive anymore. Into a home that had already made its choice about religion. His parents were committed secular Marxists. Now, I never would have imagined that when I read about him. I mean, I'm like, oh, you must be from a dynasty of, whether rabbis or learned or people or scholars. Like, wouldn't that, when you hear the name Steinsaltz, like you hear of Lau, comes from a very long history of rabbis. Yes, Tzvi.
I'm saying you have that. You have people, who like revert.
So Tzvi is saying you have people. Well, clearly, because he did.
Yeah, but
I'm just saying I wouldn't have expected it. I'll tell you why. You have to be steeped, it seems to me, from a very young age in Torah and in learning to have the ability to understand. Although, when I think about it, Rabbi Akiva only learned at age 40. So I'm rolling that back. In any case, I was surprised. Maybe you wouldn't be surprised. I was surprised that Rav Steinsaltz did not grow up that way. Hello. His parents were committed secular Marxists. His father, Abraham, having gone off to fight with the international brigades in the Spanish Civil War the year before Adin was born. And yet, his father hired him a Talmud tutor anyway at age 10. Isn't that interesting? So he was steeped in it from age 10. This is what his father said when he hired the tutor. You can be a heretic, but you won't be an ignoramus. No, it didn't say apikoros. Oh, you can be an apikoros. Yes, yefeh. Tzvi said it better. You can be an apikoros, but not an amaretz or not an ignoramus. Very, very nice. Well said. Okay, yes. But isn't that interesting? His father, his parents really gave him the message, and I think a lot of us embody the messages from our parents, although as Tzvi said, sometimes, you go against it. But his father said from day one, like, you should have knowledge. You should make your own decision, or you should know about. I mean, he was born in Yerushalayim, so you know what? I don't actually know where his parents were born. But they obviously considered themselves Jewish. They had Jewish identity. This is a household that decided that doubt and religious knowledge could sit in the same room without a fight. Well, that's an original thought. And everything that follows really contains that. But as you'll see, on a bigger and bigger stage of his life. In his early teens, he was kind of a strange fit everywhere. He was sharp enough, obviously, he was really sharp, to study math and physics at Hebrew U while still a teenager, but increasingly drawn to religious life at the same time. At 15, in 1952, he dropped out of high school entirely and enrolled in a Chabad yeshiva in Lud. And actually, he followed Chabad. And also, I did not realize that until I started researching his biography. And then he left after only a few weeks, not because it didn't move him, but it did permanently. He was a follower of the Rabbi for his whole life. But at 16, he was just adrift. He was too devout for the secular world and too strange and didn't fit in. A self-taught autodidactic scientist, a skeptic by temperament for the yeshiva world he had just entered. He belonged to neither place. In 1953, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, who never met this teenager and did not meet him in person for another 17 years, wrote to a rabbi in Jerusalem and asked him to find Adin, because Adin had been writing him letters. And he asked him to extricate him from the confusion in which he found himself, meaning that came through. Oh, my tea is here and I didn't even ask for it. Thank you so much, Susanna. Do you want tea? Eileen would love
I
tea.
can get it.
Thank you. Sorry, I can't offer you guys tea, but you can look at my tea.
Yes.
I can tell you what tea it is. It's Tezo, but I don't know which one.
Plain tea?
But it's good.
No, wait. She doesn't. You can't drink.
Caffeine?
You can't drink. You can't drink
Earl Grey.
She can't drink Earl Grey.
Oh, we have much fancier than Earl Grey. All right. See, if you come here, you even get tea. Okay.
Thank you.
So he wrote to a rabbi in Jerusalem, one of the Chabad rabbis, and asked him to find Adin and extricate him from the confusion in which he was found. That was the start of a correspondence that ran for 17 years before the two of them even sat in the same room. But isn't that interesting to sustain on paper, remember it was paper then, a mentorship and relationship for almost 2 decades. I thought that was just so cool that the Lubavitcher Rebbe kept up that correspondence. I can certainly see it from Rabbi Adin Steinsaltz's point of view, but from the Rebbe's point of view, he must have seen something in him that was really, really, really special. I'm just going to take another screenshot so that I get everybody's name. Okay. Early 1960s. Whatever passed between them in these letters worked. By his early 20s, still unmarried, Steinsaltz somehow was teaching a weekly class on Hasidic thought to Israel's own president, Zalman Shazar, and other serious public figures. A really amazing role for someone that young, and a sign of how fast people recognized what he could do with difficult material. So I feel, in addition to everything else that I'm going to say, that really was his particular gift and skill to the world. And I think we're going to see this threaded throughout. Not only, two parts, I would say. One of them, he felt Torah should be available and accessible to everybody. That was so important to him. And even though he was so smart, he was able to explain Torah in a way that people understood. Everybody following that?
Yeah.
Somebody could be on such a lofty cerebral level or intellectual level that they would either get bored or frustrated or irritated explaining something to people who were not on that level. I think we all probably met at least one person like that in our lives. But he was actually able to come down from Mount Olympus, so to speak, or Har Sinai, even though he had those capabilities, and able to explain things in a way that people not only understood, but were enraptured by him. Okay. The Tanya letter. Rav Steinsaltz wrote in 1961 to the Rebbe with an idea. Okay, so how old was he in 1961? He was born in 37, 47, 57. He was 24.
He was 24.
24. So he's 24, and he writes the Lubavitcher Rebbe that maybe he could rewrite the Tanya. Who knows here what the Tanya is? Yeah, go, Carol, you're muted.
Yeah, it's a book of Hasidic thoughts.
Yeah, more, say more.
You're supposed to be very mature to study it.
That's the Zohar you're thinking of.
Zohar. Yeah, it's.
Who else knows who wrote the Tanya?
It's one of the first Lubavitcher Rebbe.
It is the first Lubavitcher Rebbe. So Chabad is really like based on the Tanya, and what is he saying? Hey, maybe I could rewrite the Tanya. I'm 24. I think I could do it. I mean, I can't even imagine what the Lubavitcher Rebbe was thinking when he received it, but clearly he was his mentor and he still supported him. But it is the foundational text of Chabad mysticism. Full disclosure, I never read the Tanya, but I certainly have heard it quoted. And as a matter of fact, the first Lubavitcher Rebbe is known as Baal HaTanya, meaning the owner or the creator of the Tanya. That is how he is known in many, Rav Shner Zalman, but of Litza, I think it is, but he's known as Baal HaTanya. Well, how do you imagine he wanted to rewrite it? Any thoughts?
Because of people.
How?
Well,
What did he want to do with it? Yes, Tzvi. Yeah. He wanted it to be in modern Hebrew. Thank you. He read my notes. So Tzvi said he wanted people to understand it and make it accessible. I sometimes think my husband loves the King James Bible translation. I don't. He loves like ancient things and he thinks it's so majestic. I just find it hard to understand. Not always, obviously. And there are modern translations that are just easier to understand, in my mind. Anybody had come up against that, where the translation or the text feels difficult? Tzvi. People on Zoom, you're also allowed to say something. Yeah.
Well, if it's in Old English.
Yeah, Old English. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, not the Hebrew. The Hebrew's the same in the King James Bible.
Funny. But,
No, I was giving it as an example of perhaps it was hard to follow. Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is that when the Lubavitcher Rebbe said not to do it, I mean, did he?
Wait, we haven't said that yet. You're jumping the gun. You have the source sheet. I haven't gotten to that yet.
Okay.
So, he wanted to rewrite it in plain modern Hebrew so anyone could pick it up and read it. That was his idea. Now, I'm imagining the Lubavitcher Rebbe probably had a few reasons, and he's about to say no, but also, do you think he felt he could trust a 24-year-old to faithfully translate it to modern Hebrew? Not necessarily. I think that might have been part of it. Hold on one second. I'm just getting a towel. 1 second. This is what the Lubavitcher Rebbe wrote. There is no allowance at all to rewrite the Tanya anew. He got it back 4 days later.
You would think that because he was a disciple,
Who? Rav Steinsaltz? Yeah.
disciple of the Rebbe, that the Rebbe would say, yeah, give it a shot.
And then, like, the Rebbe would go over it, let's say. They never met at that point.
Right.
So he only knows about him through correspondence. He felt he was confused at the beginning because he wrote to a rabbi in Jerusalem and said, please straighten him out. And he's 24. I mean, I think that 24, I understand why I don't know if the Lubavitcher Rebbe would have said that to everybody, but he said you're not allowed to touch the Tanya. It's like it's holy, you know. I don't mean really holy, although he may have thought so. I mean, like, it's holy words that you can't touch it. But the Rebbe doesn't just say no. He did allow something else. He said, basically what he was saying, or maybe he did say it in the letter, I didn't see the whole letter, leave the original as it is, but build a commentary alongside it. So that felt a little different. And contemporary language would help a modern reader find a way in. He says, don't erase the text, build a bridge and a road to the text. So for those of you, how many of you have heard of Rav Steinsaltz before? People here raise their hand. Everybody else? Anybody here not heard? You didn't hear of Rav Steinsaltz. What is he best known for? Anybody know? Best known. 1 second, Svi. I'll let the people on Zoom.
His Talmud translation.
His Talmud, yeah. Yeah. So yes, translation, but not just translation, but layout. But the Talmud. The Talmud, the Gemara is huge, 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 huge. And he managed to rewrite that in a way that made it very, very accessible. But he did so much more. And yet, it's the same idea all the way through. The commentary, the way of, hello, you come for class? Did you come for the class? No.
So,
Did you come for the class? Hello?
did you come for the class?
I'm not sure what kind of class is it.
I don't know. What did you come for?
What?
What did you come for? Sorry, 1 second.
I'm looking for something challenging and interesting.
Well, I can't promise, but I can try.
Are you the teacher of the class?
Of this class, yes.
Yes. What's the name of the class?
This particular one is called Modern Jewish Thinkers. And this one, but it started a half an hour ago. This one's about Rav Adin Steinsaltz. Have you ever heard of him?
Who?
Rav Adin Steinsaltz.
I took a class in Talmud with him.
Amazing. Well, have a seat.
Yeah,
What's your name?
My name is Mel.
Mel?
Mel.
Cool. Have a seat, Mel.
Okay, I'm going to just sit down for a minute.
You can sit down for the next half hour.
What?
You can sit down for the next half hour for the end of the class.
Okay.
We're not really following the words. You don't have to have that. Okay.
I bought his Talmud.
You bought his Talmud. Beautiful.
Yeah. Quick story. May I tell you?
No, well, not really, because you can save the story till the end of the class.
Okay.
Hold it, because we have a lot to go through. I'm on page 2. There are 10 pages. Okay. So the whole way through Rav Adin Steinsaltz's life is really following what the Rebbe mentored him. The Rebbe said you cannot change the original text. He didn't say you couldn't add a commentary. And that was in 1961. In 1965, so he's 4 years older, he's now 28, still very young, he starts the Talmud project. He applied that principle to the hardest text in the Jewish canon. He launched a full translation and elucidation of the entire Talmud. He was backed by Israel's president and prime minister. How many years did you think he thought it was going to take? Would you imagine he thought it would take him?
10 years.
10 years. Anybody else?
15.
15 years. How many years do you think he thought it would take him?
He was probably humble, so I would say 20.
Okay. He thought it would take, yeah, go on.
I says 30.
Sai says 30. Okay, we're upping. He thought it would take him 11 years. It took him 45.
Oh, you were closest.
Well, Sai was close to how much it took him, not how much he thought it would take him.
Right.
Both good answers, though. Okay. I just want to show you so you have an idea. Anybody here studied Talmud? Anybody in this group? Tzvi did. Mel did. Anybody else?
A little bit.
A little bit, Carol. Anybody else?
I did a little bit.
Who? Helen. Helen did a little bit. Anybody else? Bernie is, I don't know, he didn't say. So I want, yeah.
Is Pirkei Avot considered part of Talmud?
No, it's Mishnah.
Right.
It's Mishnah.
But I thought Mishnah is part
Yeah,
of
but when you say translating the Talmud, you don't mean translating Pirkei Avot. A lot of us have learned Mishnah.
Right.
Mishnah is not, yes, it is a part of it, but you can't compare. Okay, so I want to show you what a page of Talmud looks like, an original page of Talmud, what it used to look like. You don't have to understand it. Do you see how dense it is, how difficult it is to follow? Not this side, this is English. This is Schottenstein. Does everybody see what the page of Talmud looks like? Okay. Now I want to show you, this is Bava Metzia, often the first tractate that people learn. This is actually in English, although I think there's a Hebrew and an English. Do you see how much easier it is to follow? Plus, the text has nikud, vowelization. That makes a big difference for those who read Hebrew. It has commentary. Yes. It tells you where to look for things. He summarizes. He makes it accessible to people. What a big difference. For anybody who could not remember that dense page I just showed you, how many people would give up if they saw it? It's in Aramaic. There's no punctuation. There's no vowels. So yes, you could learn it, but it would be a lifelong work. And not everybody has the time. People work all day. The time or inclination to do that. But if it's written for you with vowels, so if you read Hebrew, you can read it. And if you have English translation and English commentary that point you to the right page, how many people would be more inclined to read it and feel that it's accessible to them? I'm just raising my hand for everybody. I'm assuming everybody agrees. You don't have to, of course. Okay. So do we think in the Jewish world, everybody really liked that he created this new version of the Talmud? What do we think?
Obviously, some people didn't like it.
Obviously, because we're Jews. So what? We're all going to like it? Not just Jews, honestly. How many times? Okay, so it wasn't so easy. He also was very resilient. What made him so resilient? Because he really believed in his project. He believed that Torah, and I'm using Torah broadly, I use it in different ways. So here I'm saying Torah, it could be the 5 books of Torah, but it could be Nevi'im, the prophets. It could be Mishnah, which is and actually, Judy, the Mishnah of Pirkei Avot is really not like any other Mishnah. The Mishnah of Pirkei Avot is written as adages and sayings. Most Mishnah is not like that. You need to know a tremendous amount of halacha. So, most Mishnayot are way harder to learn. I'm not saying Pirkei Avot has extremely rich conversation around it, but it's not hard to get into. You don't need to, you just read the Hebrew, and as long as you understand the Hebrew, you get more or less at least what it's saying. But most Mishnayot, I still remember when my daughter was in 6th grade, and she really wasn't following at the time Mishnah. And I remember she brought it home and she read to me the first 3 words, ha'over bifnei hateva. It's just 3 words. Now the word ha'over means to pass by. Lifnei means before, and teva could mean an ark, like Tevat Noach, Noah's Ark. It could mean, that's not what it means in the Mishnah. What it means, the teva there is the bima, the amud, where the chazan stands. Ha'over means the person who passes in front of it, who's the chazan, who's leading. Just those 3 words, you need to know so much to understand Mishnah. That's what I was saying, Judy. That's not like Pirkei Avot.
Right.
Pirkei Avot, there are different ways to understand it, but it's not halachic terms. So even just in those 3 words, until I unpacked it for her, explained to her, by the time we finished one Mishnah, she's like, okay, I feel like I learned for a year, because she was learning all these new terms, whether she wasn't in class or whatever it was. So Mishnah is complicated. Gemara is even harder in the sense that it's much, much, much longer, no punctuation, and it's interspersed Hebrew and Aramaic are completely interwoven with each other. When it is quoting the Mishnah or Tanaim, I don't know how you say Tanaim, but it's the period of time of the people who wrote the Mishnah, as opposed to the Amoraim, who are the people who commented on the Mishnah and wrote the Gemara. So this is written in Hebrew, this is written in Aramaic, and we're all supposed to know where one stops and one starts. I actually, when I was first learning Gemara in yeshiva, I used color code, I used pencils, colored pencils, and I would color, like blue the Mishnah, and then I'd do like pink or red the Gemara, just so that my eyes could follow it better until you get used to learning it. There are all sorts of ways to do it. And it's actually, if you think about it, it's layers of history, because the Mishnah was written hundreds of years before the Gemara, like 500 years, let's say, or between 300 and 500 or 700 years. So it's actually layers of history, but they're all mishkababel together. So until you learn how to do it, and it's daunting for many, many, many people. But not everybody's on board. Don't necessarily make it accessible. He's attacked from two opposite directions. An American academic argues that this kind of accessibility will gut the seriousness of Jewish scholarship. Because, you want, how could it be made accessible to everybody? Scholars should understand it and comment. While hardline rabbis call the whole project heretical, a profaning of a sacred text. I'm just imagining, what that might have felt like for him. I don't know. The strictest, though, the Eidah Haredis, that's really one of the more hardline or most right-wing or most observant, I don't know what the word is. Extreme, okay, good word. Refuses to join the campaign against him. Their reasoning is so beautiful. They heard how he davened and decided that a heart capable of davening like that couldn't be that foreign heart that his critics were saying. Beautiful. Okay, so everybody saw the Gemara, moving on. In January 1970, 17 years after he first corresponded with Lubavitcher Rebbe, they finally meet in person. He traveled to New York. Remember, Steinsaltz lived in Yerushalayim, or at least in Israel, right? I don't know where he lived in his entire life. And met the Rebbe in person for the first time. And look at this. Remember what we said, that he would teach a class to the president of Israel, Shazar? Okay, so the Lubavitcher Rebbe moved in very high circles. Whatever passed between them during the week, the Rebbe put a version of it in writing in a letter to President Shazar. So he knew, I guess, that Rabbi Adin Steinsaltz was teaching. I assume he got smicha along the way at some point. I found in him qualities that are even greater than what was told to me and written to me. So he was given a lot of accolades, which is why the Rebbe was willing to meet with him. And he found in him qualities greater. And Steinsaltz liked that line so much that he chose it much later for his own epitaph. I don't know if that means it's actually written on his tombstone. I wasn't able to get a picture of it. Moving on. His name, Adin, who knows what that means?
Gentle, sensitive.
Nice. Gentle or not sensitive. Sensitive is ragish.
Okay. Gentle.
Gentle. Like a Adin
Soft.
for a boy.
Like male.
Like male of Adina. Adina means somebody who is gentle. Delicate. It could be not so much sensitive, but more delicate. But gentle, I think, is a nice way to translate. You wouldn't want to say about a man delicate. That feels funny. It could be that person is, but it does feel delicate. Seems to be more for the female version of it. And actually, it seemed to fit him because the poet Zelda, who's heard of the poet Zelda? She's a very famous poet in Israel. Rabbi Wendy Zierler has quoted her many times, has taught her many times. She said he looked like a curly and ethereal chrysanthemum. That's how she described him. When he was asked what he would have done in his life without Torah, he said he would have been perfectly happy as a stone cutter. I like the feel of stones. I don't know what to do with that comment, but it came up everywhere, so I included it. He counted.
Well, the word Stein means stone in German or Yiddish.
Cool. I didn't know that. Okay, I'll add that to my notes. Thank you. He counted Isaiah Berlin and Daniel Patrick Moynihan among his friends. Moynihan. Thank you.
Nice.
Sorry, I didn't know how to pronounce that. He died in 2020, not that long ago. And Israel's president at the time, Ruby Rivlin, mourned him in these words: a man of great spiritual courage, deep knowledge, and profound thought, who brought the Talmud to Am Yisrael, to the nation of Israel, in clear and accessible Hebrew and English, like a modern-day Rashi. That's what's so beautiful. He took a twist on Rashi. If Rashi made Torah clear and accessible, I mean, I was taught from such a young age, anytime I don't understand something pasuk, automatically I look at Rashi. I look at Rashi before I look at anything else, even before the English translation, for me. Okay, everybody got that? That's where the modern-day Rashi came from. Hi, Edith.
Hi.
Okay. I brought a whole bunch of books. I keep finding more and more and more books that he wrote, which I didn't even realize I had either in my library or in the Shul's library. Right, let me move on. In my Hebrew class, we are learning Pirkei Avot, speaking of Pirkei Avot, by Rabbi Adin Steinsaltz. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous edition, beautifully done, in very clear and accessible Hebrew. I mean, if you know Hebrew, but not even for native Hebrew speakers, even people who are not. It's really beautifully done, very accessible, very easy. Second, I brought a whole bunch of his books just to show you. This is one that I often turn to. You may have heard me quote him. It's called Talks on the Parsha. You're already seeing some of the breadth. We already said Pirkei Avot. Pirkei Avot, by the way, is not like his translation of the Talmud, because that's about sayings of our fathers. That's a whole different ballgame. And then he has this, very well written, a guide to Jewish prayer. I would recommend to people, who are coming closer or interested in prayer, or those on the conversion path. It can also be helpful. And then there's something called Tshuva. There are so many of them. They're all over. Biblical images we're going to learn from as long as we have time. Okay. 44 volumes to translate and elucidate the entire Talmud, 9 volumes of commentary on the Tanya. Remember, he did the Tanya. 17 volumes covering the whole Tanakh. 8 volumes on Mishnah Torah, that's by Maimonides, and then many, many more, as you can see. His central project was the Talmud itself, the Steinsaltz edition. Yes, it's called Steinsaltz, that's how I know it. Or Koren Talmud Bavli. It's both, it depends on how it's done. A full translation elucidation, vocalized and punctuated with running notes on law, language, and history. 44 volumes, 45 years. Wow. Finished in 2010. And then 2 companion works, the Essential Talmud, an introduction to the Talmud, starting from zero, very helpful for somebody starting, and a reference guide to the Talmud, a technical companion, the rules, logic, and library you need to study a page of Gemara. Moving on, Mishnah and ethics. Look at this amazing person. I really want to get to his teachings. Pirkei Avot, okay, we said that. Torah and Tanakh, biblical images, said that. Okay. Mysticism and Chassidut, something called the 13-Petaled Rose, which is his best-known book on Kabbalah, something called The Soul, the Candle of God, Strife and Spirit, On Being Free, Tales of Rab Nachman. Look how many there are. If you're interested, you can just look it up and see which of them speak to you. Tshuva we spoke about. He said, we Jews, the miracle on the 7th day on Shabbat, the Passover Haggadah, simple words, all sorts of things, change and renewal on the holidays, a collection of talks and articles, a memoir, My Rebbe, his own account of his relationship with the Lubavitcher Rebbe that shaped his life. Okay. You can call it 60 books, or if you count the volumes, it's over 300. Well, we can go with 60. But I mean, just the Talmud, right? The Talmud is a huge amount. None of this would have happened without 4 basic things. The Chabad Chassidut gave him the conviction, which is really Chabad. Think about it. What does Chabad do? That's really their shining strength, is that they believe that no Jew, however distant, is outside the reach of Torah. The Rebbe himself was an intellectual influence, a mentor who modeled that. He sent, and actually at some point sent Steinsaltz into the Soviet Union to practice it. The Kotzker Rebbe gave him a taste for intellectual honesty and an allergy to comfortable half-truths. And underneath it all was a real comfort with the wider secular world, Western literature, philosophy, Rashi, Midrash, all of them legitimate in his eyes. And he refused to specialize. He was in several places at once as a teenager. He took math, physics, and chemistry at Hebrew U, studying at Chabad's Tomchei Tmimim Yeshiva, at another Chabad yeshiva called Yeshivat Torah Emet, at Yeshivat Mir, the Mir it's called, which is Ashkenazic, and it's or whatever it is, Lithuanian style. And he studied all at the same time at these places. And he'd been given permission to range widely before any of that. His father gave him serious political and philosophical writings, hired him a Talmud tutor. The household never told him that a subject was off limits, and a journalist wrote, while he was still in his 20s, he is well-versed in linguistics and archaeology, in botany and history, Talmud and mysticism, Jewish law and the laws of physics. Okay, I'm going to learn with you, just by summary, from this book.
Did he write any books on archaeology or botany?
I
Do you
don't
know?
That I don't know. I think it comes in, though. I think his real goal was to make Torah accessible,
Right.
not botany accessible.
Did he write in English?
I doubt it. I think he probably, I don't know, but I think he wrote in Hebrew and it was translated. I'm sure you could look that up, though. Thank you. You could probably look it up while we're talking.
Okay.
Okay. So this is some of his observations on this past week's Parsha, Shabbat Chazon, when we read Dvarim, and the famous word Eicha is in there. Eicha is a sad lament on Eicha, although the way I explained it on Shabbat, it also has some positivity, but we can't go into all directions at the same time. So he connects in his article, he connects Eicha in 3 different places. From the Torah, when Moshe says, how can I carry you alone? When Yeshayahu says it, he says, Isaiah, in the beginning of Isaiah, how has the faithful city become a harlot? That's the Eicha Talazonah, that's about Jerusalem. And Jeremiah, we're going to hear tonight actually, on Eicha, how does the city, Eicha Yeshva Badad, how did this city sit on her own? So there's a kind of a progression here. But he sees that as one continuous story. Remember what I told you about Rashi seeing the whole Torah? So he's seeing all of this as one long story. Moshe is the root of the other 2. He says, Livadi, by myself. I am not able to bear this entire people myself alone. And his real complaint is that no one else felt it as their burden. Yitro tells him, go find wise and discerning people to share the load and to appoint judges. But the Talmud notices that Moshe only found wise ones. The discerning ones he couldn't find. It misses that word. There's a chachamim u'nevonim. Chacham is wise, nevon is discerning. But when he finds him, he says, oh, I found wise people. And it's as if he forgot or couldn't find wise people were also discerning. And Steinsaltz explains, a wise person can be handed an order and carry it out well. A discerning person creates things on their own without being told to. What I would call in Hebrew, rosh gadol, a big head. Not in a swelled head, but the way you look at things from a bird's eye view, that you can see what is necessary without actually being told what to do. And that's what was missing around Moshe, according to Rav Steinsaltz. Not competence, but initiative. And generations later, Yeshayahu says the same thing. But the failure has turned from passivity into something worse, right? That was passivity, or you could say not creativity. Now the faithful city's become a harlot. People knew corruption was wrong, but simply looked away. No one rocked the boat. Generations after that, Jeremiah's Eichan Lamentations is the end. How does the city sit, levad, badad, solitary? The city utterly alone, the way Moshe once described himself. And so Steinsaltz says, this is apathy. Left alone long enough, apathy turns into collapse. Ezra and Nehemiah, and this is all, again, from this article, which is in English. This only breaks after the exile. Ezra and Nehemiah, for the first time, the Jews, in plural, confirmed and accepted on themselves and their descendants in Nehemiah, signed by many people, not handed down by one leader, Moshe. Steinsaltz contrasts this with the earlier decree, which, remember, Koresh, children of Achashverosh and Esther, or maybe the next generation, gave the Jews permission to return, but in Ezra and Nehemiah, they get up of their own initiative. Remember what was missing? Initiative, without anyone pushing them to do so. So the fix for Moshe's loneliness, centuries later, is not to be a better leader, but that the ownership spread. And what does Steinsaltz want to do? He wants everybody to own Torah. And how does he do that? By making it accessible. People follow that? Mm-hmm. Cool. Steinsaltz wrote, I'm quoting him, there is only one way out of this predicament, for every person to get involved. And you did. You came to a shiur. Kol hakavod. You're doing exactly what he said. Well done. When one person carries everything alone, it eventually can fall apart. That's Moshe's whole complaint, but it's also the fix. Everyone has to own it. Okay. Now we're going to talk, I don't know if we have enough. I'm going to skip the Gemara because I already explained to you something about what the Gemara looks like. Yeah, everybody got that? How much more elucidated it is, how much easier, how much more accessible. So make believe I'm saying it now, and that's like the next step. Okay. Let me just see 1 second. Something here, but I want to see if I want to share it. Oh, this is kind of beautiful. This was a design problem, no ChatGPT to help him. He said there's no room on the page. If I take that big page, remember how dense it was, that page of Gemara? There's no vowels and no punctuation, like a period or a comma or quotation marks. And then what happened was the page became too big to put in a regular book. So he wrote to the Rabbi and said, what should I do? So the Rabbi said, you can't change the Tanya. You have to leave the original text. But he didn't complain that the Talmud was going to be elucidated. The advice that came back was, what?
I was just saying goodbye and thank you to my queen lady.
Okay. We heard you, so we're in charge.
Sorry.
Keep the traditional pagination, but cut every page in half so that the shape on the volume still looks the same. And here's what he wrote, Steinsaltz. It was the Lubavitcher Rebbe who gave me this advice, to keep the pagination, but to cut each page in half. My idea was that the Rebbe has enough trouble of his own. I shouldn't put anything on him that I can save him from. So he's like, okay, I'll take that idea, I'll do something with it. So what happened in the end, the text was vocalized, punctuated, full translation into Hebrew. Who asked what it was written in? Elaine? Written in Hebrew, but then I don't know that he translated. Actually, that I don't know. English, Russian, French, and Spanish. Really cool. And running notes to explain not just the words, but the world behind them. Remember? He knows so much about science and about botany and about archaeology. The units of measurement, who the sages mentioned on the page actually were, because he knew history, what daily life looked like in the era that produced this text, so what contextualizes it. Think of how much information he's giving so that anybody really who can read the language can pick it up and enjoy it. You don't have to do the whole 45 volumes. But if you picked up a page of Steinsaltz's Gemara, you would like it. You would enjoy it. You would say, this doesn't feel too dense to understand. Somebody explained it to me. Okay. You said not everybody welcomed it. A judge named Benjamin Halevi, who was later appointed to Israel's Supreme Court, wrote to Steinsaltz early on calling the work excellent, opening wide the gates to anyone who wants to study alone, placing first-rate tools in the hands of a teacher. But one American scholar published a 253-page critique arguing that this kind of accessibility would cost Judaism its most valuable resource, its intellectual seriousness. And how did Steinsaltz answer that? He wrote the next volume. Okay. A locked room becomes a door anyone literate can open. A text that had belonged to an elite was handed back to the whole people. Okay. I'm going to teach one more thing from this book.
I have a question.
Yes, Elaine. Eileen, sorry. What?
He was married.
Well, we didn't talk about that really.
And
he was married.
He had a son, right? Was anything done?
I don't really know that much. I'm sorry, but I didn't spend so much time on his biography.
And did he do anything for women?
Well, what he did for women, for example, here in Biblical Images. So I love this book. It's kind of falling apart. But he has here an equal number, I think, of men and women. He takes the time to speak. I'll tell you, he has Chava, Eve, Abraham, Sarah, Isaac, Rebecca, Rachel, Leah, Joseph, Aaron, Miriam, Joshua, Deborah, Samson, Ruth. So he included as many women as he could, even Michal, who we don't usually hear about, Jezebel, Athaliah. So, I don't know, Atalia.
Oh, Atalia.
Yeah. So he wrote about biblical images, and I often turn to this book because I love the way he does it. I have a whole shiur on Shimshon, Samson, that I took from this book. Probably have to get a new copy because it's kind of old and some pages coming out. So that's what I would say about women. But actually, if you think about it, Eileen, women often were not trained to learn Hebrew, to understand Hebrew. But once you put in vowels and you translate it, it's accessible to men and women in the same level. Women don't have to feel second rate. All right. Good question. I'm glad I had a good answer for that. Go Rabbi Adin Steinsaltz. Okay. So here's something very interesting. Yes, I hope I can teach about Yoshua. Hey, hold on one second. I want to talk about Yehoshua, Joshua. There's something kind of sweet that came up in my preparing this, that the same way that Moshe couldn't go into Eretz Yisrael, right? He was punished, and he was, do you hear me?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes.
Right, but who went in?
Yehoshua.
So the Lubavitcher Rebbe never made Aliyah and lived in Israel, but his disciple, Rabbi Adin Steinsaltz, was able to complete a lot of what the Rebbe's task is in this world. It was kind of a sweet comparison to that. Small, but that's why I picked Yehoshua as the one biblical image in the book that I wanted to speak about.
The entire time the Lubavitcher Rebbe was Rebbe, he never left New York State.
Oh, wow. Tzvi says that he never, wow.
The entire time he was,
Oh, the entire time the Lubavitcher Rebbe was the Rebbe, he didn't leave New York State. Do you know why?
he almost never left the city even.
Yeah. He never left 770, let's be honest.
I mean, like, yes.
Okay. He visited once in 1929, the Lubavitcher before he took over. Never again, despite the fact that his reach in Israel is huge. So Steinsaltz became somebody who carried at least part of the Rebbe's vision into places the Rebbe himself never physically could, into secular Israeli life and into the Soviet Union. Okay. All right, stay with me another 5 minutes. Why does Yoshua get to complete Moshe's mission where the teacher can't? Okay, so the first answer the tradition gives us is an answer that Moshe, the face of Moshe is like the sun, the face of Joshua is like the moon. Both give light. The difference is the sun makes its own light, the moon only reflects the light. Moshe is the source. Yoshua is the one who keeps the light moving after Moshe himself can go no further. And Moshe, in his biblical images, I'm quoting Rav Steinsaltz, said, Moshe spoke to Yoshua almost like a son, while Yoshua reciprocated, Yoshua and Joshua, it's the same person, with the love and zeal reserved for a father. I think we could all imagine a relationship between Moshe and Yoshua that was similar to father and son. Do people feel that way?
Sure.
I mean, it doesn't, again, I never thought of it that way until he wrote it, but it made sense to me. Okay. We're getting really close. I'm on page 10. He was not I'm again quoting Rav Steinsaltz. He was not a copy or an extension of Moshe. He was the complement, with an E, of the personality of Moshe. True discipleship, is not imitation. It is supplying exactly what the teacher lacked and making up for it. So Yoshua never tried to be Moshe. He filled in what Moshe, for all his greatness, could not do himself. It's the same idea with the page of the Gemara. But now it's about a person instead of a text. That's how he wrote about Yehoshua. Because in the text, he fills in all the things that people who are not able to understand can now understand. And here he's saying Yehoshua was able to fill in wherever Moshe couldn't. So Yehoshua ends his own leadership. Wait, hold on one second. That's what I remember. Right. At the end of Sefer Yoshua, the book of Joshua, when he gathers people together, he recaps the history. Your ancestors served other gods. God has brought you to this land. He tells them that the choice of whether to keep serving God is theirs now, not his. Freedom is granted to make, this is a quote from Biblical Images in his farewell address. Freedom is granted to make the choice whether to worship other gods or the Lord God. He doesn't set up his own children to keep leading. Instead of holding on to control the way so many leaders do at the end, he hands the responsibility back to the people. And in my mind, that's what Rav Steinsaltz did as well. Yes, Judy?
You have any info on his wife? And did he have children and anything about them?
No, you missed. Eileen asked that too. I mean, I'm
Sorry.
sure I do, but I didn't include it. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I did. I have it somewhere. It got deleted, or it's on it might be on your source sheet that I put.
Did he have children, and is any one of them, whether man or woman, a rabbi?
Yeah, that's what I just
Teacher.
said. I don't have that information.
Okay.
I still
All right.
don't have that information.
Okay, sorry.
But
Sorry.
Mel wanted to share a story. What'd you want to share?
Yeah.
Everybody say hi to
I
Mel.
spent a little time.
Hi, Mel.
And I was invited, a friend of mine was a student of Rabbi Steinsaltz, so I went to him, and he allowed me to join the class. It was a Talmud class. And he said that the topic was water. He spoke for 2 hours, but he never got to the Talmud. He was only talking about water.
Wow.
And anyway, Steinsaltz used to drink tea as the teacher drinks tea, and he used to put sugar in there. He used to put in maybe, I don't know, was it half a pound of sugar? I was convinced that he was going to get diabetes, but it wasn't my place to say anything to him about the water,
How
about the
beautiful
sugar.
that we have somebody here who learned with him in person.
Wow.
How lovely. Thank you. That was a great story.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that really speaks. So if he could speak for 2 hours on the intro before he even got to the topic, that's amazing. All right, my friends, this was great.
Yashiko, this is
Is
great.
it about the class? Because if not, I'm turning off the
I
class.
wanted to ask if there are services.
Okay, so hold on one second. It's not about the class, so hold on one second. All right, my friends. Thank you for joining. Next week,
Thank you so much.
Rev Stephen will be here in person and on Zoom. I don't remember I don't remember who he's teaching about.
Greenberg.
Blue Greenberg, excellent choice. That's great, I'm sure. She's one of my heroes. And then the following week we'll be on Zoom with the last thing our intern is doing. Okay, bye everybody.
Thank you
Have
so
a
much.
meaningful fast. Reach out if you have any
Amen.
halachic questions about the past or any
Amen.
other ones.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Thank you.